Caitlin Clark is in the vicinity at a private event with Michael Jordan. Now, it's hard to believe that they're not talking basketball. We know it has to do with basketball a little bit.
Something huge just happened behind closed doors, and nobody saw it coming. Caitlin Clark, the rookie who's already rewriting WNBA history, reportedly had a private meeting with Michael Jordan at his ultra-exclusive golf course, Grove 23. Yeah, that Michael Jordan, the man whose shadow still looms over the entire game of basketball. And according to leaked footage that's now taking over every corner of social media, this wasn't just a casual hangout. It was something deeper. Something that has fans whispering about a passing of the torch moment that could reshape the future of women's basketball forever. The internet's going absolutely wild. One moment, it's a blurry clip from a private golf course. The next, it's trending worldwide. Fans are stunned, players are furious, and executives inside the WNBA? They're in full panic mode, because if what's being said is true, this secret meeting might not just change Caitlin Clark's career, it could completely rewrite the balance of power in the entire league.
So this is the actual event that Caitlin Clark attended before we get into why she went viral. But it stated Peak Inside Grove XX111, Michael Jordan's invite-only club. Since pace on selection are a large part of why Michael Jordan loves the golf game. And however, the legendary NBA star is one of the most recognizable people on the planet.
But here's the thing. Nobody really knows what went down that day. The footage is grainy, the details are hidden, and the people who are actually there, they're staying quiet. Yet, as the rumors keep spreading, one thing is becoming crystal clear. This wasn't some random coincidence. Michael Jordan doesn't just show up for nothing. So why Caitlin? Why now? And what does this secret encounter really mean for the WNBA's biggest star? Stick around, because what started as a simple rumor might just be the spark that exposes the league's most closely guarded secrets and marks the beginning of something way bigger than anyone imagined.
So Michael Jordan's been had this golf course since 2019. The private golf course includes an 18-hole course, a main clubhouse, a gatehouse, a learning facility, and a practice range. There are even drones that deliver snacks and beverages to members during the play. The member list includes who's who in celebrities and professional athletes who all have received personal invitations from Jordan. The 15,000 square feet. Wow.
It all started with a single blurry photo. At first glance, it looked harmless. Caitlin Clark standing near a golf cart, sunlight spilling over the green, a simple day out in Florida. But the location tag said something different. Grove 23. For anyone who knows basketball, that name alone sends chills. It's not a resort. It's Michael Jordan's private kingdom, a place so exclusive that even billionaires have to wait for an invitation. At first, people brushed it off. Another celebrity sighting may be a coincidence, but then everything changed. Within hours, a short, shaky clip surfaced online, and in that clip, clear as day, was Caitlin Clark walking beside Michael Jordan himself. The two were laughing, relaxed, and then just for a few seconds, she's holding a basketball in her hands. That's when the internet lost its collective mind. The video spread like wildfire. Hashtags like #ClarkXMJ and Jordan Mentors Clark started trending worldwide. ESPN, Bleacher Report, TMZ, every outlet jumped on the story. Analysts zoomed in frame by frame, identifying Jordan's signature sneakers and Caitlin's new Nike training gear. TMZ even confirmed the setting, the trees, the architecture, the security layout. It all matched Grove 23 exactly. What people were seeing wasn't fake. This was real. For fans, it was surreal, the greatest of all time standing beside the game's fastest rising star. But what really sent shockwaves wasn't the photo itself. It was the energy between them. You could sense something deeper, focus, mentorship, almost like a silent handoff between two eras of basketball greatness. And that's when the whispers started. Insiders began claiming this was no random encounter. Sources close to Grove 23 said Caitlin's name had been on Jordan's guest list for weeks, personally approved by MJ himself. Some even hinted that he'd been following her rookie season closely, fascinated by her handling pressure, criticism, and the spotlight, all with the same unshakable confidence he once had. For him, this wasn't just curiosity, it was evaluation.
I know a lot of people are going to say Caitlin Clark should be training. She's with Michael Jordan. Like, it don't get no, like, I know a lot of people thought Caitlin Clark should have did Unrivaled. Caitlin Clark should have did basketball. She's with Michael Jordan. She's with the, like, there is no, like, no. I know everybody want Caitlin to be with Chris Brinkley, Drew Hanlon, and all these other damn trainers. She's with Michael Jordan, bro. Like, it don't get no, do I need to say more? Do I need to say more? She's with MJ, bro. Like,
so when Caitlin's name appeared on the guest list at Grove 23, it wasn't a coincidence, it was an invitation, a test. Insiders described Grove 23 as more than a golf club. It's a proving ground, a mental battleground where Jordan measures who really has that killer mindset. People call it Slaughterhouse 23 for a reason. No cameras, no filters, just raw competition. Every guest gets approved by MJ personally. That means if you're invited, you're not there to relax, you're there to prove something. Witnesses said that when Caitlin arrived, Jordan greeted her himself. No assistants, no entourage, just the two of them walking side by side through the fairway, talking quietly, the way only competitors do. What they discussed? No one knows, but those who were nearby said it didn't feel like small talk. It felt like mentorship, the kind that only happens when one legend recognizes another in the making. And that's when the story started taking on a life of its own. People began calling it a passing of the torch moment, the greatest player in basketball history meeting the one athlete bold enough to carry that legacy into a new era, and in a sport that's still fighting for its full respect. Fans started to wonder if Jordan saw something in Caitlin that even the league didn't. The potential to change not just the WNBA, but the entire basketball culture. But while the internet was celebrating this MJ meets Air Clark moment, there was one group that wasn't smiling: the WNBA executives. Because from their perspective, this wasn't mentorship, it was a power shift. Reports began circulating that league officials were blindsided by the footage, that no one from WNBA HQ had been informed about Caitlin's trip to Grove 23. Behind closed doors, panic spread fast. This wasn't just a rising star having fun. This was the face of the league meeting the most influential man in basketball, off the record. No cameras, no league branding, no control. And for a league that's been carefully shaping Caitlin's image, that was terrifying. Suddenly, this friendly meeting looked more like a statement. Jordan has never been one to play by anyone's rules, and if he was now aligning himself with Caitlin, it sent a clear message: her future might not belong to the WNBA. But here's the thing, that private conversation between them, it didn't end on the golf course. Because according to insiders, what happened after the round was when things really started to get interesting. The moment that footage leaked, the WNBA's front office reportedly went into full-blown damage control. Inside league headquarters in New York, phones were ringing non-stop, emails flying, and executives scrambling to figure out one thing: how the biggest story in women's basketball had just slipped completely out of their hands. For months, the league had been carefully building Caitlin Clark's image, the perfect balance between marketable and controlled. She was the new face of the WNBA, but within their framework. Every photo shoot, every media appearance, every brand endorsement, all ran through the league's public relations filter. But now, this viral moment with Michael Jordan had rewritten the entire narrative overnight, and they weren't the ones writing it anymore. According to multiple insiders, an emergency meeting was called within hours of the footage breaking. Executives feared that Caitlin's unsanctioned connection with Jordan could trigger a major brand conflict. Remember, Caitlin signed with Nike, and Jordan has his own brand under that same corporate umbrella. Normally, that'd be fine, but if Caitlin suddenly became the athlete personally mentored by MJ, that shifted the balance of power dramatically. The league had never faced a player who could become bigger than the WNBA itself. Behind the scenes, the conversations reportedly turned tense. Some league officials wanted to lean into the publicity, claiming it was a win for women's basketball, a bridge between eras. But others saw it for what it really was, a threat to control. If Caitlin aligned directly with Jordan, she could bypass league management entirely. Her fame, her image, her sponsorships, all could exist outside their reach. And once that happens, no amount of PR strategy can pull it back. Meanwhile, veteran players were quietly fuming. Rumors started swirling that some stars felt overshadowed, that Caitlin was being handed opportunities they never got, no matter how hard they worked. In private locker rooms, whispers turned into frustration. One anonymous player even told a reporter, "It's starting to feel like this isn't the WNBA anymore, it's the Caitlin Clark League." The league's attempts to control the story only made it worse. Every time an official statement tried to downplay the situation, fans doubled down. Clips of Caitlin walking beside MJ were being remixed, reposted, and analyzed from every angle. The internet wasn't just watching, it was choosing sides. And for the first time, the WNBA was losing the battle for its own narrative. Then came the real panic. Reports emerged that agents from major brands, Gatorade, Beats, and even Jordan's own team were reaching out directly to Caitlin's camp. Not through the league, not through her team, but straight to her. That's when executives realized this wasn't just a PR problem, it was an economic earthquake. If Caitlin Clark decided to partner directly with Jordan Brand, without the WNBA's oversight, she'd become something the league had never dealt with before. A truly independent superstar. And that scared them more than anything. Because once one player proves they can thrive outside the system, others will follow.
By the end of the week, internal sources claimed the league had put together a containment plan, tighter media monitoring, controlled press questions, and even limits on unsupervised brand appearances. But it was already too late. Caitlin's image was out there, standing shoulder to shoulder with Michael Jordan, and no one could unsee that. Still, for all the chaos inside the WNBA, one thing was becoming clear to everyone paying attention. Caitlin wasn't backing down, and the next move she made would take this story from viral to historic. Because the meeting at Grove 23 wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. And what happened next would prove that Michael Jordan hadn't just invited Caitlin Clark for golf, he was preparing her for something much bigger. By now, everyone had seen the leaked footage. Caitlin Clark laughing with Michael Jordan, walking the green like they'd known each other for years. But what no one saw was what happened after. According to reports from people close to Grove 23, once the cameras were gone and the guests began to leave, Jordan requested a private conversation with Caitlin Clark. No staff, no press, just them. The meeting took place inside the glass-walled clubhouse, a sleek, sunlit lounge that overlooks the entire course. It's where Jordan holds his real meetings, the kind that never make headlines. Witnesses described the moment as intense. The atmosphere shifted instantly. No more small talk, no laughter. Just two competitors sitting across from each other, locked in. One, the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. The other, the most electrifying new face in the game. And what Jordan reportedly said in that room would stick with Caitlin forever. According to insiders, Jordan spoke to her not as a fan, not as a mentor, but as an equal. He told her that greatness always comes with isolation, that every icon faces a moment where the world turns against them before it recognizes their worth. They'll criticize you for being different until they realize that's what made you unstoppable. Those words hit deep. Caitlin had already been through months of scrutiny, every game dissected, every foul debated, every headline questioning if she was too confident, too cocky, or too overrated. She'd heard it all.
But sitting across from Michael Jordan, hearing him say that the backlash was a sign of greatness, not failure, that changed something. Sources close to Caitlin said she walked into that meeting anxious, second-guessing the chaos her fame had caused. But she left it silent, focused, different. Like something had clicked. A witness even described her expression as steel calm, the look of someone who had just been given permission to stop apologizing for wanting to win. And then came the moment that sealed it. Jordan reportedly stood up, reached for something on the table, and handed her a custom Jordan brand basketball, white and gold, with her initials stitched beneath the Jumpman logo. According to one source, he told her quietly, "Your era starts when you decide." No cameras, no speeches, no staged photo op, just a simple sentence that would soon echo across the sports world. Caitlin didn't say much after that. She thanked him, shook his hand, and left the clubhouse with her security team. But those who saw her walk out that day said she wasn't the same person who'd walked in. She looked driven, like someone who had just made peace with being the villain, because she finally understood that's what every legend becomes before the world catches up. By the next morning, rumors were already spreading that something major had gone down at Grove 23, something even bigger than the footage itself. And within 24 hours, that rumor turned into an explosion. Because when Caitlin Clark reappeared online, fans noticed one small detail that no one could ignore, a single image that changed everything. It started as a whisper, then it became a storm. Barely a day after Caitlin Clark's private meeting with Michael Jordan, mysterious posts began surfacing across social media. Screenshots, supposed emails, even blurry marketing decks, all hinting at one thing: a possible collaboration between Caitlin Clark and the Jordan brand. At first, everyone brushed it off as fan speculation. I mean, come on, a rookie WNBA player getting a personal Jordan doom? That's unheard of. But the internet wasn't buying the denial. Not this time. The first red flag came from an anonymous account that claimed to have leaked a series of internal Nike memos. The documents allegedly referenced an upcoming Legacy and Future project, featuring a female athlete representing the next era of competitive excellence. The description was vague, but the timing perfectly aligned with the Grove 23 meeting. Sports blogs went crazy. Within hours, the phrase legacy and future was trending worldwide. Then came the second wave: photos. One image showed a white and gold Jordan shoebox with Caitlin's initials embossed across the lid. Another showed what looked like a prototype sneaker, sleek, minimal, with her jersey number stitched near the heel. Fans began connecting the dots. The whispers weren't just rumors anymore. They were turning into receipts.
Insiders claimed Nike executives had been holding late-night meetings, trying to get ahead of the chaos. One source said they were blindsided by how fast the speculation spread, and that even internal teams were asking if the Jordan brand had gone rogue. But here's the thing, when it comes to Michael Jordan, rogue is just another word for strategy. For decades, MJ has been selective with who carries his brand. Only a handful of athletes have earned that Jumpman stamp. Names like Russell Westbrook, Luka Doncic, and Zion Williamson. Legends who embody not just skill, but mentality. The fact that Caitlin Clark's name was even being mentioned in that same conversation, that was history in the making. And fans knew it. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, it was chaos. Every frame from the Grove 23 footage was being reanalyzed. One clip showed Jordan handing Caitlin something small, wrapped in white. People froze the frame, zoomed in, and swore it was a sneaker box. Another shot showed Caitlin laughing as she held up a basketball, that same custom Jordan ball, gleaming under the Florida sun. The captions practically wrote themselves, "Air Clark in the making." But not everyone was cheering. Behind closed doors, WNBA executives were reportedly furious. This wasn't just a PR nightmare anymore, it was an existential threat. If Jordan was truly preparing to launch Caitlin as a face of his brand, that meant the league's most valuable player was about to operate on a level far beyond their control. A player directly backed by Michael Jordan himself isn't just an athlete, she's a brand of her own. Meanwhile, sponsorship insiders started leaking more hints, whispers of private meetings between Jordan's marketing team and Caitlin's agent, references to cross-generational legacy branding, and even mock-up ad concepts built around one phrase, "Built different." Sound familiar? Because within days, that exact phrase appeared in Caitlin's Instagram bio. Fans lost their minds. The comment section exploded. Fire emojis, Jumpman emojis, endless speculation. Everyone wanted confirmation, but neither Caitlin nor Jordan said a single word. Total silence. And that silence spoke louder than any press release ever could. Then, late one night, a photo hit Instagram that sent shockwaves through every corner of sports media. A simple mirror selfie. Caitlin Clark lacing up a pair of sleek, never-before-seen Jordan prototypes. The caption? Just 3 words. Work in silence. Within minutes, it was everywhere. ESPN picked it up, TMZ posted about it, even NBA players started commenting. That single photo, no announcement, no branding, broke the internet. The hashtags changed instantly. Hashtag Air Clark, hashtag Legacy Recognizes Legacy, hashtag Jump Woman. Suddenly, the question wasn't if Caitlin Clark had joined forces with Michael Jordan, it was how deep this partnership really went. Because if the rumors were true, this wasn't just a collaboration, it was a revolution, one that could completely reshape the business of women's basketball forever. And while fans were busy celebrating, the WNBA's top brass were quietly panicking. Because behind all the hype, one truth was becoming undeniable. Caitlin Clark was no longer playing by the league's rules. She was rewriting them. But if you thought the internet frenzy was wild, what happened next would make that look tame. Because Michael Jordan was about to make one silent move that confirmed everything, without saying a single word. The moment Caitlin Clark's "Work in Silence" post hit the internet, it was over. The floodgates opened. Within minutes, every major sports outlet, ESPN, Bleacher Report, Complex, Barstool, you name it, had pushed the story. A rookie WNBA player rocking unreleased Jordans with a caption that sounded more like a manifesto than a photo description. It wasn't an announcement, it was a statement. And the message was clear. Caitlin Clark had entered her Jordan era. Social media melted down in real time. Fans dubbed her Air Clark within hours. Memes exploded. Caitlin's silhouette next to the Jumpman logo, side-by-side photos of her step-back jumper and MJ's fadeaway. It wasn't just about shoes anymore. It was symbolism. The torch had officially been passed, not with a handshake, but with a sneaker. But behind all the excitement, things were boiling inside the WNBA. Executives were in panic mode, team owners were furious, agents were calling emergency meetings, because Caitlin's move had effectively rewritten how power worked in women's basketball. Normally, a player's biggest deal runs through the league. Every brand activation, every sponsorship, every appearance, it's approved, tracked, and filtered. But this was different. This was independent. Rumors swirled that Jordan's team was working on a standalone deal, one that would connect Caitlin directly to the Jordan brand, bypassing the WNBA's marketing department entirely. If that happened, she wouldn't just be the league's biggest star, she'd be untouchable. No executive oversight, no contractual interference, just raw global influence. And that scared people.
Insiders began leaking stories of internal tension. Some veteran players felt disrespected.
saying Caitlyn's rise was overshadowing everyone else's hard work. "It's not the Caitlin Clark League," one anonymous player reportedly said. But others, especially younger players, saw it differently. To them, this wasn't favoritism, it was evolution. It was proof that women's basketball had finally found his lightning rod, the player who could break through every barrier the sport had faced for decades. Meanwhile, fans rallied behind Caitlyn like never before. Fever games sold out weeks in advance. Jersey sales skyrocketed. Every interview clip, every highlight, every small move she made was amplified across millions of screens. To her supporters, Caitlyn wasn't just a player anymore. She was a movement, a symbol of independence, grit, and unapologetic ambition. But as her popularity exploded, so did the backlash. Behind closed doors, sources said the WNBA's leadership was debating how to handle her next steps. Some argued that the exposure would help the league, drawing new fans and media coverage. Others worried that Caitlyn's growing power would divide players, destabilize locker rooms, and expose cracks in the system. And those cracks were starting to show. Reports surfaced of heated locker room exchanges, debates over media attention, sponsorships, and leadership. One alleged clip showed Caitlyn and a veteran teammate in a tense discussion over loyalty and team balance. Whether the footage was real or not, it only fueled the fire. The narrative had shifted. The WNBA wasn't united anymore. It was split between the old guard and the Air Clark generation. Still, Caitlyn stayed silent. No interviews, no explanations, just focus. Her only message to the world was in that caption: "Work in silence." It became her mantra. Fans printed it on shirts, players quoted it on social media, and sports outlets turned it into headlines. Then, as the dust started to settle, something wild happened. Michael Jordan finally made his move. No press conference, no public appearance, just a single post from the official Jordan brand account. Black and white photo, Caitlin Clark holding a basketball. The caption, "Legacy recognizes legacy." That one line, just 3 words, shattered the internet. Within minutes, millions of views poured in. Comment sections exploded. NBA stars reposted it, calling the moment historic. Sports journalists called it the dawn of the Air Clark era. For the WNBA, it was the moment they lost control. Because this wasn't speculation anymore, it was confirmation. Michael Jordan himself had just stamped his approval on Caitlin Clark. Behind the scenes, Nike's boardrooms reportedly lit up with emergency calls. If this partnership was real, if Jordan was officially backing Caitlin, the entire power structure of women's basketball was about to change. This wasn't just a brand alignment, it was a power realignment. And while fans were celebrating, executives were terrified. Because for the first time in league history, a single player had become bigger than the system that built her. But this story was far from over, because what came next, Jordan's next silent move, would take this from viral moment to cultural revolution. When the black and white image hit the Jordan brand feed, the world stopped scrolling. No announcement, no press release, just Caitlin Clark, head slightly bowed, holding a basketball under her arm, the iconic Jumpman faintly reflected on the court beneath her. The caption read, "Legacy recognizes legacy." 3 words, that's all it took. In an instant, silence turned into shock waves. The post wasn't tagged. There were no brand logos, no hashtags, just that single phrase. But everyone knew what it meant. Michael Jordan, the most guarded and selective figure in sports, had just broken decades of precedent to publicly acknowledge a rookie WNBA player. He hadn't said a word during all the chaos, not when the footage leaked, not when the rumors exploded, until now. This was his move, a silent stamp of approval from the GOAT himself. Within minutes, the numbers went insane. Millions of likes, tens of thousands of reposts, entire threads breaking down the symbolism of every frame. SportsCenter replayed it every hour. ESPN ran it as a headline for 3 straight days.
Even NBA stars like LeBron and Steph chimed in, calling it a generational moment. But behind that clean black-and-white photo was a ripple effect that no one, not even the WNBA, could contain. According to sources close to Nike, Jordan himself had called an emergency meeting with the company's executive board just days earlier. His message was direct: she's the future. And apparently this wasn't just talk. Documents began circulating that Jordan Brand was developing its first ever women's basketball line inspired by Caitlin Clark's playstyle, a collection that blended MJ's trademark intensity with her sharp, modern edge. If true, this wasn't a sponsorship, it was succession. Inside WNBA headquarters, reactions were mixed. Some officials were relieved, hoping this exposure would finally pull in global attention for women's basketball. But others weren't celebrating. They saw it as the league losing control of its biggest asset. For the first time ever, the WNBA wasn't driving the narrative. A player and a brand were.
And the numbers backed it up. Ticket sales for Fever games doubled within 48 hours of the post. Merchandise featuring Caitlin's name sold out overnight. Sports economists predicted that if the Jordan Clark line became official, it could inject millions into women's basketball without a single dollar coming from the league itself. The media called it the Clark effect. But beyond the numbers, there was something more powerful happening, a cultural shift. Young girls across the country started showing up to local courts wearing black and white jerseys with homemade Jumpman logos. Sports blogs began calling her Air Clark. Memes flooded timelines, Jordan passing a torch, Caitlin holding it with a determined grin. The symbolism was impossible to ignore, the legend acknowledging the heir. Yet, even as the world celebrated, tension was simmering underneath. Some WNBA veterans feared this new superstar hierarchy could split the locker rooms, turning team sports into influencer brands. Others embraced it, arguing that this was exactly what women's basketball needed, a cultural icon powerful enough to transcend the sport itself. Meanwhile, Caitlin stayed silent again. No interviews, no comment, just training clips, her signature stare, and a quiet fire that told everyone watching she wasn't done. Her Instagram bio changed once more. Built, not bought. And then, as if the story couldn't get any bigger, new leaks surfaced. Internal memos hinted that Jordan and Caitlin were working on something beyond sneakers, a training academy designed to develop young female athletes modeled after MJ's legendary mindset camps. If that turns out to be true, it means the partnership isn't just rewriting basketball history, it's rewriting who gets to control it. For decades, the WNBA's power structure had been clear. The league controlled the players, and the players carried the game. But with one post, Michael Jordan flipped that formula on its head. Caitlin Clark wasn't just the future face of the WNBA anymore. She was the architect of its next era. And for the first time in modern sports, a legend didn't just hand off a legacy, he shared it. But as powerful as that moment was, one question still hung in the air like static before a thunderstorm. Was this the birth of a new dynasty, or the beginning of a revolution the WNBA would never be able to control? Because if legacy recognizes legacy was the first message, what came next would redefine what power really looks like in women's sports. What started as a quiet golf outing in Florida has turned into something much bigger, a movement, a message, and maybe even a warning. Caitlin Clark's secret meeting with Michael Jordan wasn't just about mentorship or branding. It was about power. Who has it, who's losing it, and who's ready to claim it. Because after that single leaked clip, the entire landscape of women's basketball shifted. The WNBA had spent years trying to build its next superstar, but in Caitlin Clark, it accidentally built something the system wasn't ready for. Someone too big to control, too ambitious to contain. And when Michael Jordan stepped into the picture, that balance completely shattered. It wasn't about fame. It wasn't even about money. It was about validation, the kind that doesn't come from awards or headlines, but from legacy itself. When the greatest basketball player of all time looks at you and says, "You've got it," you stop playing to prove yourself. You start playing to define yourself. And that's exactly what Caitlin Clark did. She stopped chasing approval and started setting her own standard. Every step she's taken since that meeting, every silence, every cryptic post, every record-breaking game, it's all felt deliberate, like she's walking down a path that only she and Jordan can see. Meanwhile, the league she represents is still catching up. Executives are scrambling to control a story that no longer belongs to them. Reporters are trying to spin it into controversy, but deep down, everyone knows what this really is. The power shift the WNBA has been waiting for and fearing at the same time. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just get Jordan's attention. She got his blueprint. Independence, vision, and control. The very things that made him a global icon are now fueling her rise. And just like MJ in the 90s, she's not asking for permission. She's building an empire. The numbers prove it, the headlines confirm it, the culture reflects it. But beneath all the noise lies something even more important, a sense that the game has finally changed. For years, women's basketball has been fighting to break through the shadow of men's sports. Now, for the first time, it's not about comparison, it's about creation. Caitlin Clark isn't following anyone's path, she's paving one. And if the whispers are true about a Jordan Clark Academy, a new signature line, and an entire generation of athletes she's about to inspire, then this isn't just a passing headline, it's a handoff of history. The WNBA may never be the same. The players may never view fame the same way. And the business of basketball, both men's and women's, will be forced to adapt to a new reality, the era of independent power. Because this wasn't just a meeting, it was a moment, the spark that exposed how fragile control really is when true influence walks into the room. Caitlin Clark came to Grove 23 as a rookie. She left as a symbol. And when Michael Jordan said, "Your era starts when you decide," he wasn't predicting the future. He was giving her permission to take it.